Evening, everyone. Oh, wow, I actually got a response. Well, welcome to the Edinburgh International Conference Centre. My name is Rob Turnbull. I am the Sustainability Manager here at the EICC. I helped organise the EICC Live, along with the fantastic Jennifer, who I can't see at the moment. As a part of the wider sustainability community engagement programme. These events are designed to bring people together, share knowledge, and spark conversations that inspire positive change. And that sits right at the heart of what the EICC does. Our vision is to create an environment which inspires ideas that will change the world. Over the years, we've welcomed speakers covering everything from climate action and innovation, well-being and social inclusion, and many of our previous talks are available on YouTube. If you just search for EICC venue, you'll be able to watch them at your leisure, and there is some really good ones out there, which I'm sure tonight will be. Tonight we're in collaboration with Edinburgh Remakery, who are an award-winning social enterprise dedicated to tackling digital poverty, e-waste, through reuse, repair, and community empowerment. Here at the EICC, we actually work with the Remakery. We donate old laptops, equipment, and anything else we can find lying in a back cupboard to make sure that they can carry on with the brilliant work they do. They do an incredible impact, and I'm looking forward to hearing what Elaine has to say and to share with you tonight what they get up to. Now, I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, and I'm included in that, have an old phone, old tablet, or even a mystery mess of mangled cables somewhere in a drawer somewhere that's for a digital camera that you've never seen or don't even own anymore. And that's the kind of stuff that the Remakery are looking at. And with that equipment, they can do some amazing things, which I won't take the wind out of sails on that one, but yeah, I'll let you tell them. So tonight we're going to hear from Elaine Brown, from the CEO of the Edinburgh Remakery, and then we're going to have a demonstration, a bit of a tech teardown, if you will, to show you just all the valuable resources you can get out of a simple laptop, which would have originally been destined for waste. After that, we're going to open it up to you guys and have a bit of a Q&A, so you can give your thoughts, ask any questions, see if you can stump them with some technical question that who knows. However, just before we get started, just a little bit of housekeeping. So there's no planned fire alarms tonight, so if the fire alarm does go off, please follow the exit signs and leave the building promptly. Also as well, tonight's event is being filmed. Now, without further ado, I shall pass you on to Elaine, and please welcome her to the stage.
Well, hello everyone, and thank you so much for coming out on a bit of a dark, wintry Monday night. So I really was thinking I could have been talking to a room of nobody or whatever. So I'm really delighted that you came out. And Rob, thanks again for all the support that EICC give to the Remakery. It's a really strong partnership. EICC is really positioning itself to be the #1 sustainable events venue in Scotland, and we are delighted to be working in partnership with, we talk the same language, and so we were delighted, I think, when you said to come and do EICC Live. It's a bit daunting, but hopefully tonight we can give you a little bit of an insight into what we do at the Remakery and what you can do, small steps to make a real impact here in Edinburgh around sustainability. So without further ado, when I was speaking to Rob, I was saying, what do you want me to talk about? And we came up with the hidden treasure, unlocking the value in your old tech. So Rob's very nicely introduced me, but the Edinburgh Remakery is an environmental social enterprise. So we're a business, like any other business, but as a social enterprise, we really plough our profits back into really helping the community. And that's through a multiple amount of tasks, which I'll go into today. But we're also a charity as well, with a mission to tackle digital poverty and to tackle loneliness, which is really still here, with people being isolated. Long after COVID's gone, people are still feeling that. So I want to talk a little bit about those things. Rob wanted me to talk a little bit about e-waste. He wanted me to talk about the entrepreneurial journey that our environmental social enterprise has been on. And he also wanted me to explain about how we can impact behavioural change. So I hope that I can meet your very clear brief. And then obviously what we want is for you to come away from this evening being really empowered to feel that you can make a difference. Every small thing that you do can make a difference. And we want you to go away from this evening thinking very differently about the tech that we all have. I hope that that will really inspire you to see the hidden treasure that you carry in your pocket, that you have in your homes, and how you can do amazing things here in Edinburgh with that digital device that you have. So I hope that meets your brief on what you're expecting from this evening. So without further ado, we'll crack on. So, hidden treasure. So again, at the Remakery, we are all about the circular economy. Now, I don't know if some of you know what that means. It's maybe not terminology that people use every day, but it's not a new thing. I think if you think back generations ago, you'll have heard of make, do and mend, where we had whole generations who knew how to repair items. They valued items. They kept them in use. They didn't put them to landfill because items were very costly and you wanted to conserve that. Over time, we've become a very consumer-driven society. Items are cheaper to buy. We want the newest, latest item. We buy, we consume. And we've forgotten the art of repair and reuse. So the circular economy is really trying to keep things in use for longer. So we've got a linear economy at the moment, which is we take things from the planet, we manufacture, we buy it, we use it, and when we no longer want it or it's broken, we discard it into landfill, and then we repeat that process. And that has been a hugely successful model for marketeers, for big companies to make lots of money, but that is not a successful model for our planet. And it's not a successful model for healthy and well-meaning societies. So we really need to move to that circular economy approach, where we can still take some items, we can still manufacture, we can still buy, but limit that consumption. But when we get to the point where that item is broken, or that item needs to be replaced for whatever reason, because you do maybe want that new model, it's at that point that we stop and we think. And we think, do we need to buy a new model? Is that model something that we could repair and keep it in use longer? Or is that something that we can remanufacture into something else beyond what it was originally designed for? But what we want is never to get to that bottom part where we're putting things in landfill. We have been indoctrinated, if you like, to start thinking about recycling. If you speak to most people, they will say, oh, yes, I do my bit for society because I recycle. Actually, recycling under a circular economy model is actually the first point of failure in our system. Because if we are really to be successful, if we're really going to make that impact for our climate, then we really need to be looking at the waste hierarchy. And the waste hierarchy, the number one thing that you can all do is reduce your consumption. Do you really need to buy the latest thing? Or could you make do with it? Could you mend it? Could you alter it? Could you keep it in use? If we reduce our consumption, that is going to have huge impacts for us. The next part of the waste hierarchy is repair and reuse. And that's where the Edinburgh Remakery sits. We sit in that part of the circular economy. We are all about trying to teach people repair and reuse. And in doing so, we've tried to create an entrepreneurial business out of that. In addition, we've also tried to create that behavioural change within our communities. So again, when you're starting to think, what could you all do? You could reduce your consumption. That's number one that you can do. And then obviously learn repair and reuse skills. So if I take us back a little bit, the Edinburgh Remakery, we are leading the charge, if you like, here in Edinburgh about tackling e-waste. So e-waste is something that we all contribute to, every single one of us here in this room, because I'm assuming that you all have tech devices. Yes? And that's fine. We live in a digital age now, and in a lot of ways, we are digital by default. Whether we like it or not, we're going to have to embrace that digital world. That's fine. However, the devices that you have are contributing to the largest growing waste stream in the planet, which is e-waste, the electronic waste from all your wonderful laptops, game stations, telephones, cables. They're all contributing. It's the largest growing waste stream in the planet. The picture that you see here is just a few of the bags of the e-waste that we deal with every day in the Remakery. It is huge. It is phenomenal, and we're all contributing to it. And the planet cannot sustain this. E-waste is hugely damaging. It's hugely damaging to our planet, because if that goes into landfill, then the items that are in e-waste are hugely damaging to soils. If they leak into the soil, they're hugely damaging to our water streams. And they are finite, precious materials. They are not going to be there forever. We can't keep taking, because there will come a point when this is not available. So we've got to do something about it. And at the Remakery, we are all about tackling e-waste through repair and reuse, and really educating people. And e-waste is something that we've been able to turn into an entrepreneurial journey. Later on today, we're going to show you what's inside your computer. When you came in to the foyer, you'll have seen bits of e-waste lying about. We want people to see it, feel it, touch it, understand it. You've also seen our tech donation box, which was out there as well, which I'll explain a little bit about as we go on. So we can do amazing things with e-waste. It does not and should not go into landfill. So how do the Edinburgh Remakery become an entrepreneurial business? And we are a business, and we've been very successful. So at the Remakery, we have looked at the problem. We're very good at speaking to our communities, looking at the problem and thinking, how are we going to solve that? So one of the areas is obviously having staff that understand and have the skills. And again, in a circular economy, there is going to be a huge amount of skills that are going to be required, skills that don't actually exist at the moment. So it's very difficult for our school children to be preparing for jobs within a circular economy model when we don't know quite what's going to be there. But at the Remakery, we have employed people who have been at the margins of employability before. So a lot of people, school isn't for them. They've maybe not been that successful with it. But when they get the right thing and they are nurtured and they find the thing that they love, these people are valuable. They are phenomenal. And at the Remakery, we have got a phenomenal amount of staff. We're small but mighty. We've got 14 members of staff. And a lot of them come with a passion that schools didn't recognise, college didn't recognise, university wasn't for them. But when they come with their skills and their desire, they find a place at the Remakery. So at the Remakery, we look at refurbishing tech. So every business has tech, every business. And those businesses were frozen about what they were going to do with their tech, because there is now a whole host of legislation that tells them you can't just get rid of that, you can't put it to landfill, you've got to show what you've done with it and how you've done things with it, because there is some legislation around that. Also, businesses were frozen because what's in your tech is your life, isn't it? It's your data. That's the number one concern. Data is in there, and if that leaks out, that is also going to be damaging for our society. So at the Remakery, we looked at how can we tackle this problem that businesses have, but also make a business out of it. And we've done exactly that. And we are now Scotland's leading social ITAD. So it's not a word that you might use every day, but it's basically tech disposal for business. An ITAD is IT asset disposition. So all the tech that people have is their assets, and they need to get rid of it. They need to have a disposition. So we listened, and again, we're very good at listening to the problem. So we went to businesses and said, we can take your tech, we will collect it for free, we will provide you with free data wipe because you are concerned about your data. We will provide you with free waste transfer notices because you've got to, through that legislation, show the chain of command and the chain of where your tech's gone. That's great. That's your data sorted out. That's your environmental legislation sorted out. But where we really stand apart from other companies that do that is the social part. So every company now is very concerned about their ESG, environmental, social, governance. That's almost sometimes more important to companies than money coming in for a service, because that is what their clientele are demanding. They want to see that businesses are thinking about the environment. They want to see that businesses have got a social conscience. When they're trying to retain and attract new talent to their business, Gen Zs, etc., they are very hot on what are you as a company doing that is sustainable and making a difference to this world. So right away, the Edinburgh Remakery comes into that space. We can help those companies. So now we work with companies all across Scotland to provide their asset disposition. So companies such as Edinburgh International Conference Centre, when they no longer want their tech because it's the end of life of it in their business, because they might need to refresh it or it's broken or what have you, they provide that to the Edinburgh Remakery. And that's gold dust to us, because the end of life of that tech in that business is not the end of life of that tech. That tech still has something to give. So when it comes to the Remakery, we have a huge warehouse at the back of our store. So we're based, I don't know if any of you have seen where we are, but if you're familiar with Leith, we're at the foot of the walk in the new Kirkgate shopping centre. I don't know if you all know where that is. And we've got a shop there, and all our tech comes in there. And when it arrives at the Remakery, it goes on a phenomenal new journey. It is phenomenal. So it comes in, and our wonderful staff who we have nurtured start to assess what journey that tech will go on. So some of that tech will go straight to, it can be refurbished. A lot of the tech that we get from businesses are less than 3 years old. And in fact, we also get tech from businesses that are still in their original box. They've never been used. That's how wealthy and wasteful some companies are. They have huge amount in their stock, so that when a member of staff says, my computer's broken, they just discard the old one and go to the lovely shiny cupboard and bring out the new. So we then take that tech. How do we make a business model out of that? We refurbish it and we sell it. Now we sell it, and I know I started the conversation by saying reduce your consumption. But if you buy second-hand tech, it is not second-best. It is actually the cool thing to do, and it's the thing that I would want and encourage all of you to do. Because buying a new piece of kit, you've mined that metal, you've had the manufacture costs, you've had the transport costs, so the carbon on that is huge. Whereas if you buy a piece of refurbished tech, it's just keeping it in use longer. We're not having to go to those new finite resources. We are using what we already have. And when you buy that refurbished bit of tech, that should make you feel really cool. That should be the cool thing to do. I don't want to hear people saying, I've got the shiniest, latest model of iPhone that's come in this wonderful packaging. That's not cool. What I think I would dream of is that people go, look at this. This is 6 years old, and this is a cool bit of kit that I've got. That's the cool thing. That's where we want to get to. So we're still reducing our consumption of new items. We still need tech because it is a digital world. So we sell that in store, and we also sell that on our website, and we sell it through eBay. And people come in and they trust us, because unlike some places that sell tech, we are never about upselling. We're never about giving you the model that you don't really need, but it's going to bring us a lot of money. We listen to people, and nurture people to understand what they need, and then they buy the tech that they need, not the tech that the business out there want you to buy because they want you to spend more. So the money that we get from that enables us to employ staff. As I said, we've got 14 members of staff, and they come from all walks of life, and they learn a skill that they cannot learn at school. You don't learn tech hardware repair at school. It does not exist. It's not in the curriculum. You cannot learn it at college. It's not part of a college curriculum. I have a problem. I would love to put all my guys on an apprenticeship. An apprenticeship framework does not exist for tech hardware repair. Does not exist. So I'm creating jobs and skills that don't exist yet, but they will. Because if we are to move to the net zero targets that we have in this city and we have in Scotland, then we're going to have to get with the programme. We're going to have to start training people. And there's a million people out there that are probably really interested in tech. I say, you know, a bunch of geeks that are just love it, want to get in there, want to solve the problems of tech hardware repair. And this would be a phenomenal job. My dream is that one day we will have tech hardware technicians in every business, just as you have a software development team in most businesses. I would love for them to have somebody from the Edinburgh Remakery sitting in there, so when a device doesn't work, rather than them putting that to one side and going to the lovely cupboard with the new shiny tech, they go, oh, let's call the Remakery, let's get that repaired. Within a couple of days, it's back on the desk again. That's where we need to be in all businesses. We're not there yet. The picture that you see up there, I do believe in child labour. So the boy here on the right is my son. So he wanted a little bit of experience before he went off to Glasgow Uni to do mechanical engineering. And he's come in and he started off doing, for a couple of months, doing e-waste segregation. So e-waste segregation, I started by saying that the tech goes on a journey. So some will be refurbished. That's great. But some are not ready for refurbishment. They're past that point of being able to be used for the purpose that they had. But what's inside, the hidden treasure, get the theme, the hidden treasure that's inside those computers is still viable. So Nathan, here, my son, he was what we call an e-waste operative. So he would open up the computers and he would decide what parts we should take out, that those parts will then be used to refurbish other stock, or they'll be used to sell as parts so people can get into repairing their own tech. And it's a skilled job. He will also then segregate bits that will go for ethical recycling, and I'll talk a little bit about that when Nathan does the tech teardown. So it's a skilled job. It's a job that wouldn't have been taught at school or whatever, but that skill is phenomenal to understand, be able to open a computer, know the parts, know what's of value for repair, what's of value for recycling. And it's the first step towards going further to become a tech hardware technician. So that skill was really useful, and he was able to use that in his application for university, etc. And he's sparked ideas in him as he's going away to do mechanical engineering, how he could do things differently, because we're dealing with a problem down the line. So it becomes our problem as consumers to deal with all this e-waste. What I would really hope is that we start dealing with the problem at the very beginning, in the manufacturing stage. So when we manufacture anything, really, we're always thinking about what is the end of life of that item look like? How can we create and manufacture and design items so they are built for our circular economy? They are built for repair and reuse. They are not built for inbuilt obsolescence, which many items are. They are built to fail so that you will buy more. We can't have that. We've got to have these wonderful engineers of the future to be thinking about how we can have components that open up. And I'll talk a little bit about the right to repair as we're looking at the tech teardown. So that inspires him to go on, and we want to do more of that. We want to inspire young people to be thinking differently. But in order for them to think differently, they've got to see and understand the problem as it exists now. The picture at the top is Matty. He is also the son of one of our employees, so we're all about, you know, helping our families here to sort of nurture. And Matty is a stage beyond Nathan. He is a tech hardware technician, so he is the one that's refurbishing that, and he's got all those skills. And he's also dealing with the problems that we have of many of the tech items that come to us are bias locked or remote access locked. So that becomes a problem because they are now waste. They are not able to be reused. So he has to figure out how to solve that problem. So these are problem solvers. These are people that are innovative, that have ideas, and are going to be invaluable for our circular economy model. So to be entrepreneurial, we need people who have got real problem-solving skills. We've got to have people who've got a passion for the circular economy, and everyone in the Remakery does. We've got to have a passion for how everything that we do makes a difference. The other part of our entrepreneurial journey is our tech donation box. So you saw that. Here's one we made earlier out in the foyer. And the tech donation box has been hugely important to us, both for behavioural change and for income generation. So the tech donation box is sponsored by many companies. They take it in so that they can get their staff. So this is not for business tech, this is for the people in our society. So again, we listen. So how are we entrepreneurial? We listen to how our community was wanting to respond to the tackling e-waste. And when we listened to our community, they were saying, we would love to get rid of our tech, that it's not just putting it into a municipal dump, which is open to the elements, and that's not really going to be reused and repaired. But we want it to be ethical. We want to understand what we're doing with our tech. So we devised these innovative tech donation boxes. They are now multi-award winning. For what we've done. We have 19 of these, and businesses sponsor them, so that's an income generator for us. They actually have them in their businesses so that staff can get involved as part of their sustainability week. They sponsor them so they can go into community settings, so people in the community can do it. The City of Edinburgh Council have funded our tech donation boxes for libraries, so if you are looking to see how you can donate into our tech donation box, look on our website. They are now around libraries on a rolling programme to allow our community to do something amazing together to tackle e-waste. So they put that into the box, and then the box tells a story. It tells the story of tonnage diversion from landfill. Great. Tells the story of CO2 emission that box has created. But more importantly for a lot of people, it tells the social impact story. It tells us how many people in our communities have we helped through digital poverty, out of digital poverty, how many green jobs have we created? And people love that. They love to feel like they're empowered to make that change. 800,000 people in Scotland face digital poverty. It's not a poverty that's talked about very often. We all understand food poverty. We all understand energy poverty, fuel poverty. But nobody really understands digital poverty. Even people who are in digital poverty don't understand it. But if you're in any of those other poverties, chances are you're facing digital poverty. 800,000 people in Scotland face that. It means that they have a device, but it's probably not sufficient to cope with the digital by default that we're in. So it might be a phone for a family of 5. That is not sufficient to engage in our digital world. Or it might be no device, or it might be no device, or a device but no connectivity. So they are digitally excluded. And can you imagine living life in COVID when you didn't have a computer and you couldn't engage? It would be unthinkable, because that's where we changed our lives. But for many people, that just wasn't possible. So these boxes help us to help people in our community, and we have a free tech gifting programme, so people in our society are given a free refurbished laptop to help them be connected. So that story is impactful. We're helping the environment, we're helping our communities, and we're doing it by a simple thing of looking at our e-waste, our hidden treasure, and then making a huge impact. So again, schools, the picture at the bottom there is our Tech Donation box for schools. Kids loved it. They wanted to do that. The box has told the story. We have an award ceremony for it. Schools were so desperate for their school to be the best school at putting stuff in that box that we had school children putting their parents' current iPhone in there, and then we had to come and open it up to retrieve it. But the sentiment was there. They wanted to help tackle e-waste, and that's hugely important to us. Behaviour change, I talked, the brief was to look at that. The tech boxes are all about behaviour change. They're all about a simple action, putting a cable in there that you've got those drawers of dooms, that you've got loads of cables in there. That helps make a huge difference because inside those cables are metals, and metals are hugely valuable to be reused. So we reuse that. Again, when we're doing the tech tear down, I'll explain a little bit more about what's inside it. But that is a behaviour change. Rather than sticking them in cupboards and ignoring it, or worse, putting it into landfill, hugely damaging, suddenly people who are engaging with our box are thinking. They're thinking, this is the right thing to do. This is how we're going to tackle e-waste. And that's priceless for us. We also have repair cafes for behaviour change. So every Friday, the Edinburgh Remakery offers a pay-what-you-can repair cafe. And people come in for tech hardware repair or textiles. So we also do textiles, which I'm not talking so much about this talk because it's about hidden treasure. But again, the journey into repair is often by learning how to sew, because that gives you that knowledge of repair. And now again, at schools, children are not learning how to sew. So when a button comes off their jacket, they buy a new top, a new jacket. They don't need a new jacket, they just need to know how to sew on a button. So again, at our repair cappies, they come in and they learn those skills with their item. And the difference is they stay with their items. They stay with the tech and watch the technician repairing that piece of tech. And they learn how to do it and see that it's possible. And hopefully that, again, is that behavioural shift. It's about thinking differently about repair. It's about thinking differently about the circular economy. The picture up at the top here is just what we do to help. So last year, in 2024, we gifted 295 devices to people who are facing digital poverty. This is a picture of some of them. That makes a huge difference. The gift of connectivity is an amazing gift that the people of Edinburgh are giving to people who did not have that before. But also what they're learning is that it's a refurbished bit of kit. So these people are learning that this is not second best. This is you on a trajectory that together we have repaired something. And then they can come back at any time to their repair cafes, and they can come back for support and advice. So again, the tech boxes, through our income generation, being entrepreneurial, have helped us to also look at how we're going to help our society. And I'm conscious of time, so I'm going to end with this part, is for the Edinburgh Remakery, it really was crucial for me that people did not see us as, oh, they're just a charity, or they're the poor relation. I wanted people to see and be inspired that this is an entrepreneurial journey, and you can create an entrepreneurial idea through being circular. Doing business for good is good for business, absolutely. So in 2022, we applied for the Queen's Award for Enterprise. It's the biggest award in the country for business, and in 2022, the Edinburgh Remakery won that award for sustainable development. In that year, there was only 13 businesses in Scotland that won that award, and we were the only social enterprise. And what that showed me is we went down to Buckingham Palace and got our award, and it was all very nice. And this is a picture here of Robert Aldridge, the Lord Provost, who was there in his capacity as Lord Lieutenant. What that showed me was that hidden treasure of e-waste is a business proposition. It is the good thing to do. It's a smart thing to do. If you build in sustainability and circularity into your business, whatever that business might be, then it stands up out there as being a worthwhile business enterprise. It made our staff feel amazing. It made our community feel amazing that their contribution, because we got this together, had made a difference and was recognised. And that plaque there that I'm holding up was signed by the Queen at the time and Boris Johnson, and we hold that for 5 years. It allows us to put, if you look at our tech box out there, you'll see the Queen's Award for Enterprise, the logo that's on there. It allows us to put that there. We could fly a flag from the Edinburgh Remakery, should we wish to do, and I'm very tempted most mornings to raise that flag. But what I really wanted it to do in that behavioural shift about sustainability was start thinking, if you've got an idea, an entrepreneurial idea, if you've got something that you think could make a difference to this planet and to our people, then build that model in, shout about it, get your community involved, get the skills, lobby, use your influence with Parliament and local authorities. Because if we all do this, how amazing is our journey going to be? How amazing is it going to be for the City of Edinburgh if we reach those targets of net zero by 2030? It's a tall order, but we'll have to start somewhere. So our mantra at the Remakery is waste less, live more. If we all do that, we're going to have a great planet. We're going to have a chance. We're not going to have a climate emergency. We're going to have a climate opportunity. And so we think that we are going to change the world one refurbished laptop at a time. Thank you. So do I go over there now? Right, so now you're not getting rid of me that easy. Now I'm going over here, and Nathan's going to come up. So this is the bit where my technical skills are going to show, because I am not a tech wizard, but I have a tech wizard appearing here. So we're blown away by the technology of this now, aren't we? Because look at this. Very fast. It's very cool, isn't it? I love it. So what we thought, again, because of the theme today, which is hidden treasure, well, we don't want it to be so hidden that you go away thinking, oh, I don't know what that is. We're going to unearth this hidden treasure. Now, we can't do our full tech teardown because another part of our entrepreneurial journey is that we work with corporates. Corporates come in and spend a day with the Remakery, and we often do some workshops. And one of these workshops is what we call the tech teardown. So people come in and they spend a couple of hours with us and they get a screwdriver set. And you couldn't believe how excited people get when they're presented with a screwdriver set. It just brings out something, I don't know what it is. And then they get to a demonstration from Nathan about what's inside the tech, and then they get a morning of just taking tech apart. It's great fun, it's brilliant well-being, but also they're segregating parts for us, so they're doing a bit of our work for us as well. So Nathan has a right nice time because he can just sit back and all these corporates are doing the e-waste. But the whole idea of it is so that these businesses see and understand their impact of sending us their tech and where it goes and how we deal with it. So what I wanted was to show you just a very miniature. We can't do the full tech teardown, so we're having to do it sort of a little bit speedier, and you're going to have me talking to you about it, which I'm not normally the expert on this, so bear with me. So this is Nathan. Nathan is one of our tech hardware technicians, so hugely skilled. He is refurbishing on a daily basis our tech that goes up onto our website for sale. He's a big part of the reason that we are a top seller on eBay. And in 2024, is that right? 2024, we won the eBay awards for the whole of the UK for social impact. They recognised our huge impact that we make from the sales from eBay. And a huge part of that is because of Nathan really making sure that the refurbished tech that we have is of top quality, that people trust when they buy from us, and there's no issues. So his skills are phenomenal. And Nathan does a lot of our tech teardowns. So we're going to start by, in front of him, he's got a laptop. Now, normally, Nathan would show people how to unscrew, because around the casing there's many screws, and that would take too long today. So he's already done that already. So he's going to open up the casing.
Oh, it's on.
What do you want? Yep. So he's showing you where the screws would have been, so there's a lot, and so that's where people really do get quite enjoyed, you know, just taking all these screws apart. And this is, again, a problem that many times when it's been manufactured, manufacturers will make sure that these screws need special screwdrivers so that you can't open that yourself. That has to stop, because under the right to repair, we need to make sure that people have the tools to be able to do this should they wish to. But that's part of manufacturers not wanting you to repair because they want you to buy. So Nathan will then open up the casing. Ta-da! So hidden treasure, there you are. Can you all see? So this is what's inside your tech. So many people will never have seen what's inside there. It is hidden treasure. It absolutely is. It's full of finite metals. So again, inside the laptop, again, when Nathan's looking at it, he knows that each part has a model number. Point to that. So each part in there has a model number. So that, again, is part of the technicians understanding what number it's in there so that they can look and make sure that they know what device they're looking for.
Is that the battery?
So this is the battery, yeah.
Yep.
The model number, you can't read it because it's too small and the camera won't pick up. But all the parts have model numbers and stickers for labeling.
That's great. So you didn't want to speak, but now you're going to speak. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. Because he's realising, she's not going to be able to answer that. So again, what we want to look at is, now obviously be careful when you're opening up your stuff, because if things are in warranty, then we're not encouraging you to open things up or what have you. You know, that's a different thing. But when things come out of warranty, then I absolutely urge you, you know, to take a look or to come into the Remakery, to our repair cafes, because some people might want to replace things because they want a better screen, or they want a different layout, or they want to change their Wi-Fi card. These things are all doable if you know how to do it and you've got the confidence to do it, but more importantly, that you've got the tools to get into your device in the first place. Will I say some of the names of the things and you can point at them? Right. So we've got a daughter board. Okay. Motherboard. So he's starting to take apart a lot of the clips, etc., that are holding that into place. Would it be easier if I just showed up the... There's another screw. I loved that gasp. It was great. This is drama, isn't it? Ta-da! Nearly, nearly. Motherboard. I'm going to talk a little bit about motherboards in a minute. We've got the fan. RAM, CPU, okay. Wi-Fi card, storage. So lots of bits and pieces that can be used. Remember I talked about before, the e-waste operative, understanding what those parts are, how we would use them in different areas of repair or selling parts, etc. And selling parts is one of the areas that we are looking at a new income generation stream. So we've been piloting that, selling the parts that people can then use to repair, because that's crucial as well, because a lot of people might think, I want to repair it, but I don't know where to get a CPU, I don't know where to get RAM. And again, that's helping us to income generate. As I said, a note of caution, check your warranty, because I don't want you coming to me tomorrow going, I opened that computer and then I went and I've not got my warranty. So we always say check that. Also check, it was one of the things that Nathan pointed out, check the value of your device. You know, if your device is thousands of pounds and you think, right, I'm going to have a wee check and try to do this. But it might be a bit more risky for you to just sort of get in there and try and do it yourself. But if it's of low value and you think, well, I'm going to give it a go, and if the worst came to the worst, it wouldn't be the end of the world. As you get more practiced, you might be able to do it better and have that confidence. Inside your computer is hidden treasure, and I mentioned that earlier. So inside we've got silver, we've got tin, we've got iron, we've got aluminium, we've got gold, we've got palladium. Now, I always say, we do a lot of talks to school children, and I always say, if I were to give you a bag of gold and then say to you, go and put that in the bin, you would think that I'd lost my mind. But that is what we are doing every single day, because inside your computer is gold. It's phenomenal. So 7% of the world's gold is found in your motherboards. But now, because of this wasteful society, more gold, world's gold, is in landfill than is in mines. It's bonkers, isn't it? You know, and that's what I want you to think about. This is absolutely waste gone mad. We are not even valuing gold, and gold is at an all-time high. So one of the things that we were also thinking is, what can we do to utilise this valuable resource that we've got, bags of the stuff that we're not going to be using those motherboards to repair and put into it's beyond the power of refurbishment. So we created another income stream from that wonderful gold. So your motherboards, boards that are beyond the use of refurbishment. We are the only Scottish partner to the Royal Mint. So you'll all have heard of the Royal Mint. The Royal Mint is the organisation that makes the coinage, used to make the coinage for across the globe. It's now restricted that it's pretty much doing the coinage for Britain and a few other countries, but not many. Because they're having to diversify, because how many of us have coins in our pocket now? You know, we're going absolutely cashless. So the Royal Mint has diversified their practices, and they have created a precious metals factory down in Wales, where they have their coinage factory. And so we are the only Scottish partner there. And they want this, our motherboards. And they want our motherboards because in their factory, these motherboards go through a process and they extract all the metals. And they're specifically looking for the gold. There's gold in them, their hills. And they take that gold, and they have created a circular economy model, because their circular economy model is that they then take the gold from our motherboards and they make jewellery. So they make the 886 range of jewellery, so that was the year that the Royal Mint was created. And that jewellery is like high-end. They started off as non-binary jewellery, now they do a whole range. So even David Beckham is sporting, you know, a ring or whatever from the motherboards. And the school children love this, because when we were saying about the tech donation boxes, this was a big part of why they were wanting to put the stuff in there, because I was saying perhaps your device will become a ring that David Beckham is wearing. There's a possibility. But again, because gold is at an all-time high in price, we get the weight of gold payment from the Royal Mint. So that's been a huge thing. A little social enterprise in Leith works with the Royal Mint, and we are one of their key partners. That is phenomenal, and that shows me that they believe in circular economy and what we're doing, and they have created a circular economy approach to diversify their income. it works, it makes sense. So that's been a huge success for us. Right, Nathan, what else am I meant to say? Can you remember? So the other thing what we're going to show you is, so there's gold in the motherboards, but we were also going to say the RAM. Have you got the RAM there? Yep. So the RAM is plated with gold. Can you see? That's gold. Gold. So again, when I went down to the Royal Mint, I've been down a couple of times, they have a big scientific lab, which is top secret. And I watched as they extracted the gold from RAM. It took 4 minutes. 4 minutes to extract the gold from RAM. So copper is also there. Copper is for heat sink. Can we show where that is, Nathan? Thank you. Put it all back together again. So this is why they need the metals, because it serves a purpose. It's not just there for show. It does serve a purpose. The copper is for heat sink. Is that correct? I was speaking sense, Nathan.
Yep.
Right, good, good. I'm just ready.
So on this example, you can only see the copper here and here, but all of this is copper.
Yep. So copper is used. Lead used to be used, but we're now using lead-free solder on chips. Do we know where that is?
So that would be under the CPU and under BIOS chips and other stuff. So under this, under here. Yeah.
Desktop chips have gold on the pins. So that's on a desktop.
So that's on desktop. So we don't have one with us to show.
But
it's the same as the CPU. It's just got pins sticking out from the bottom.
Yeah, and steel and aluminium on heat sink for reinforcement. So we've got steel and aluminium on there to reinforce. So the aluminium is used to dissipate heat and the copper is used to transfer heat. So one of the things that obviously we want people to see is these are metals that we just take for granted. It's doing a purpose. We see the laptop, it's in a shiny plastic case. We don't understand what's inside there. I'm hoping that by showing this, you understand what's in there. You understand the cost to the planet that we keep mining this. So we mine from mountains to create mountains of e-waste. It's bonkers. It has to stop. We have to stop that tide. We have to think about the waste less, live more. And lastly, I wanted to talk a little bit about the tools that you might need in order to do this. So we're talking about screwdrivers. So a simple kit of screwdrivers. Have we got the kit behind you, Nathan?
No, we don't have one.
Oh, did we take it away?
Yeah. Basically, there's a selection. You've got different price ranges. Most of them will be manufactured in China. So the one I personally use is just £50. It's got a very good reputation, but you can even get away with a toolkit for £15. You know, Amazon or eBay, and they'll do the job. You'll have most bits, so yeah.
Yep, so fairly cheap tools. The other thing that we would recommend is an anti-static wrist wrap as well, just to make sure that you're not damaging the motherboard as you do the components, and understand the materials that you're working with, obviously. And again, thank you, Nathan. So that's the wrist wrap, and they're not expensive either, are they?
No.
So cheap. But again, if you don't have that and you don't want to invest in doing that by consuming, again, coming to our repair cafes. Repair cafes are a growing movement. We were part of the Scottish Government drive for the share and repair network. So it was to help other people who might be thinking of setting up a repair cafe, or the Edinburgh Tool Library was part of the network to help people who are going to set up a tool library. So rather than buying tools, you borrow them. So you could borrow these kind of tools from the tool library. So again, it's about trying to reduce that consumption. And lastly, about the right to repair. The right to repair across the globe is in different stages of development, some further than others. Here in Scotland, my take on it is that the right to repair, there is legislation. It's lovely. I'm sure it's a lovely document, lovely written, but it doesn't have teeth. It's not forcing. You as consumers, do you know that you have the right to repair? Has this been told to you, communicated to you, you live this? Probably not. They're not telling you about it. And equally, the manufacturers are not abiding by it. They're still creating objects that are obsolescence inbuilt. They're still creating devices that are locked to the ability to repair because there is no teeth to that legislation. And only when there is a financial consequence to these companies do I think that we'll really see that shift. Because if nothing's driving them to it, they're not going to do it out of the goodness of their heart because it costs money to change. It costs money to do that. Whereas if it's going to cost them money because they haven't done it, that's when change will happen. So the right to repair bill is something that you all as consumers have a right to demand and should be speaking to your MSPs and your MPs and demanding that this is not just legislation that sits in a lovely dusty folder, but this is something that is really enacted. So you wouldn't feel fearful of opening up your computer because you have the right to do that, and you have the right to ask for the parts, and you have the right to ask for the tools to open your device. So we at the Remakery are trying hard. We've been down twice last year, I went down to the Houses of Parliament and we brought a repair cafe there so that the MPs could see what a repair cafe is like. And this year, we took the repair cafe to the Houses of Parliament, the House of Lords, rather. So again, they could see, and the Minister for Circular Economy came and spoke very nicely and loved it. And where are we? Not really much further forward. So we really have to demand it. Demand it. We all have the right to repair our white goods. And at the moment, the right to repair is focused on white goods, like your washing machines, toasters, that kind of thing. But even then, most people don't know about it. But laptops are not really part of that right to repair legislation. So if you want it, demand it. Because if we can all repair our items, we will all waste less and live more. Thank you. Thank you, Nathan. Thank you. So it's at this point, if you're not sick of me talking to you already, that Rob had said that we can open it up for questions. Remember, technical questions, Nathan, and I think Ajar was going to come up as well, because if you have any, do you want to come up as well? If you have any questions about our tech donation box and the journey of that, then Ajar has been the leading light on our tech donation boxes. He's really driven that project and made it a huge success. So technical questions over here, tech boxes over here, and anything else, hopefully I'll be able to answer. Thank you. Yes, over there, Rob, thanks.
What about confidential information that's on computers and phones?
Yes. So a big part of the businesses freezing and not wanting to do anything with their tech, we listened to the number one concern. The number one concern was data. Absolutely. So at the Remakery, we're all about thinking outside the box, really thinking, well, how can we tackle that problem? So at the Remakery, what we did was we are a data wipe registered organisation to the highest protocol. So that helped businesses trust us. But we're also an ISO 27001, which is a nice sexy title there. But it's the highest international standard for information security. So it's a huge undertaking for the Remakery. There are huge corporates that do not have that ISO. It's really costly and it's time consuming. But it was absolutely business critical for us because we knew that we would not get our hands on business tech unless we could assure them that we have those. So again, the Remakery punched above their weight and we have got that certificate. So that was the number one way of unlocking businesses to give us their tech. And equally, it's reassuring for the public when they put their devices inside the tech box, they are assured that we are at the highest protocol. And from the minute we take ownership, that's our duty of responsibility, is to look after that data. We can wipe a laptop without even opening it. So we have huge protocols about data wipe. Because only our staff are able to work in the Remakery on tech. They are all obviously vetted, they are all permanent members of staff. If we have people coming in to do volunteering, they can only work with items that have been completely data wiped, hold no data, or hold no hard drive. So we spend a lot of money and a lot of time ensuring that data is absolutely clear, because it's business critical for us. Yes.
You mentioned that you take, I think you said at the start, digital cameras. I think the website says it's only DSLR cameras. So specifically, I was wondering if you do take digital cameras and RAM and old motherboards, because I've got plenty of all of these things, some of which won't function because modern operating systems won't support them. So your Remakery boxes didn't want these according to the website, but do you want these devices?
So yes. So basically the thumb rule for all the donations that we take from individuals is that, you know, if it fits inside the box, we can take it, as long as it's tech items. So like, for example, your cameras, your keyboards, laptops, tablets, phones, cables. And unfortunately, we don't take electrical goods, like, for example, your curling irons, your hair straighteners and stuff like that. But as long as your tech items fit inside the box, we should be able to process them and we should be able to take them. Hope that answers your question.
Yes, thanks.
No problem.
I was curious to understand a little more what happens in the process of refurbishing a laptop, for example. And if you start like changing the sound card or the video card, would that change the actual specification of the machine? And
Yeah.
that all right?
It would change the specifications, but so from like 2010, 2011, 2012, almost all computers, the processors are soldered on. So you cannot remove the processor. So the older ones, from specific years and specific laptop models, you could remove the chips. So you just have a little slider that you'd use a screwdriver, a flathead. You'd twist it and you'd pull up the chip. And with graphics card, it'd be a similar story. They'd slot into like a mobile PCIe slot. Those are rare. Only on some gaming laptops you'd have to pick the specific one, like find it, and the CPU is they're no longer upgradable. So we don't do the upgrades. We just refurbish it, make sure that all the hardware is working, that the software is working correctly with the hardware, and list it. And obviously cosmetic damage.
Thanks. Really, for Nathan, this one, that HP laptop you just dismantled, it didn't look that old. I mean, couldn't you just have wiped, I mean, presumably in most cases you're aiming just to wipe the hard drive and reinstall Windows, are you? Or is it more than that? Presumably dismantling for parts is a last resort.
So yes, however, because the majority of users are Windows customers, we can only offer people Linux as an alternative. We can't actually install it for them.
Don't you have don't Microsoft do a special discounted version of Windows for refurbishers?
We do get the discounted licenses, but that doesn't change the fact that when they drop support, that's the support dropped. So this machine specifically will only get Windows 10. It won't get Windows 11 because of the TPM. So even though it has TPM 1.2, and it probably can get a BIOS update to TPM 2.0, it still won't get the Windows 11. And even if you can update the BIOS, you get the TPM to 2.0. You have the TPM requirement, you have another requirement that I don't remember that I ignore, and you've got the CPU requirement. So even if this one would support the TPM requirement, it still wouldn't support the CPU requirement.
And that is another issue I was talking before about inbuilt obsolescence. The end of 10, as we call it, is a huge issue. It's going to create a huge amount of e-waste because it's enforced by Microsoft that suddenly, you know, a device will not be supported and we're moving to Windows 11. It is hugely awful in terms of the circular economy. It's going to create a huge amount of devices that are still viable, that are still great, that are going to be seen as obsolete. And so we are obviously calling out to businesses, if you've got end of 10, bring it to us. But what we really need to educate people is we do not have to be slaves to Microsoft. There are other devices, and if Microsoft are going to be so awful around the circular economy, let's get rid of them and let's look to a different setup, because this is absolutely obscene what they are enforcing on devices. And I could speak all night about that, but I better not get too political and angry. But yes, this is another issue that we're dealing with, and it just shows that one policy does not speak to another. And here we go again, a manufacturer dictating what is going to happen around e-waste.
But that Microsoft support policy, I agree, is really annoying. But of course, it doesn't stop people using things.
No.
I mean, I was using Windows 11 for devices for at least 2 years after Microsoft withdrew support. I mean, if you're trying to support people in digital poverty, do they need things that are in full Microsoft support?
No, so for our gifting, we will be using devices that have been part of end of 10, and it's part of supporting people to understand there are other operating systems. If they're using their device for something that does not need that security aspect to the nth degree, then, and most of the people sometimes when we're speaking to them and they don't need that, they need it for certain things. So yes, we will still be using that, and it's part of that behavioural education piece about understanding how we can use our tech, how we can still be safe, but how we can also make sure that we're keeping things in use. But it's a behavioural thing, and everyone's been sort of channeled of, this is what you must have, you know, and you must have it to this standard or whatever. So a part of our business will be about educating people around the end of 10 and how we can overcome that. But it's an education piece, and the people that have got the huge amount of money to do the marketeering are very good at that, and we are fighting against that in a small way. So yes, we will not be putting things to the bin. Chances are that Nathan's using this device here because it's been checked and it's not going to be able to be refurbished, so therefore it becomes part of our education piece about tech teardowns and things like that. But we wouldn't be hauling apart something that was going to be of use to us financially. That definitely wouldn't be happening. Any other questions? Yes.
Thank you. My question was in relation to that. I've got a desktop and it's got Windows 10 in it, and you can't, it just says you can't use Windows 11, so the antivirus and everything won't work. So, you know, can I speak to someone about wiping that, putting Linux on it or something like that, and reusing it? It's quite old.
So if you came on a Friday, we do a repair cafe. So we've got a Linux installation already ready with Ubuntu. So we can install that right away. And if you want, you could just send us an email and we can prepare an installation for you beforehand for Friday.
Brilliant. Thanks very much.
Hi, Elaine. So, couple of things. You talked to us earlier on about the lack of apprenticeships in this field. Have you talked to any of the colleges about that, and maybe think about how that could be generated? And I wondered if there was any other organisations you could join up with to build the critical mass that's needed.
Yeah.
But in a similar vein, have you thought about franchising out Remakery to other parts of the country, or are there already enough businesses and social enterprises in other bits of the country doing this?
Yeah. So the first part, yes, I have talked till I'm blue in the face about this apprenticeship framework. So we've went to apprenticeship companies and worked with them, you know, a huge amount to sort of try and get a framework, but they are dictated to by the framework by SDS, Skills Development Scotland. And at the moment, when they come up with a framework, it's software framework, and that we're not software, we're hardware. We have talked to colleges, we've talked to universities, but again, they're in the same boat. They need that framework. Now, we are small. I don't have the hours in the day to go and lobby you know, the people that make those curriculum frameworks. I could spend all day, every day doing that. But I'd hope that in speaking to the apprenticeship companies and things like that in the universities, that there might have been some traction that they could bring. But a lot of times they say, well, it's not needed, because again, it's part of, they don't understand that we need this, and we, you know, so we go round in a circle. And in terms of collaboration, that's what the Remakery does all the time. And there's people that we could collaborate that are training providers, who are accredited training providers, but the only way that we could do that is through funding. You know, this takes money to create that, to create placements, to create nurturing environments and whatever. And when I look out at the funding landscape at the moment, and this is when I do feel like I need a couch rather than a seat, the funding landscape for the third sector has fallen off a cliff. And there isn't the funding out there when I try and look for it, when I have Barbara, our partnership and fundraising manager, looking for that mythical thing that would allow us to then collaborate and create these apprenticeships. It's not there. If you know where that fund is, if you know how we can do that, that's brilliant. But charities and social enterprises do not work on thin air. We need the money to do that. But we are ready and able to offer that placement opportunity, that expertise to work alongside Nathan and Ajar and all our brilliant staff to really nurture that. But it takes funding, it takes commitment, it takes framework changes. All of those parts have to work together to get there. But if somebody has the magic bullet for that, let me know. That would be brilliant, because that is the dream. That is where we need to get to. And we are ready and able and willing to do it, but we need the money and the funding and the framework in order to do it. Here endeth my complaint, sorry.
That was really good to hear the talk. I've got loads of questions, but I'll try and focus on one. I'm sort of interested in the how much more volume you could take. I'm always horrified when we go to Seafield to reluctantly dump some garden waste or bits of old wood we really can't use, to see the small electricals skip. And you know, there's nothing down there about recycling tech items. So I wondered if, you know, you're getting enough help from the council or other councils in Scotland to collect material, and if you can cope with more material as well.
So the answer to that is yes, because that would be a lovely problem to have. And with every social enterprise, we can expand and contract depending on where we are in the financial climate. So yeah, we want more, we want to do more. If we can do more, we employ more people, we give more security, and we make a greater impact. So yes, we want to do more. I think somebody else asked about, do we want to sort of create a franchise or whatever. I've got no appetite to personally create more Edinburgh Remakeries for me to run, but what we do is we want to share, and we do share our knowledge so other people can replicate what we do. That's how we're going to get to pace, if other people can replicate it. And I share your horror of municipal dumps, because I can tell you that what goes in there does not go for reuse and repair. It's going somewhere, probably not so great. And my other dream, I suppose, is Scandinavia have it really great, because what they have is shopping centres right next to municipal dumps. The items that go to the dump are then allocated to the social enterprises that are in those shopping centres. So you might have a bike repair, and so the bikes that come into the dump just come from the dump, go to that bike repair. The items that come in for tech would then go to the tech repair, and it becomes a shopping centre that people are buying, you know, things that have been repaired. That is a brilliant model. That works. And when we were based in Ocean Terminal, because we were there for 2 years, that's what I kept banging on to them about. You know, could we create this as a social, you know, a really vibrant social enterprise model that we're maybe not next to a municipal dump, but we could ferry the stuff. and it didn't work. The closest that we have to that is Moray Waste Busters. They are based near a dump, and they bring in some of the items and they repair things. But again, I think, you know, we've got a model from another country that works really, really well. Could we do the same here? And for me, that's just cutting out the middleman and just making sure that we're doing something really vibrant. So we've got lots of dreams. We've got lots of targets of how we're going to get to net zero. And I just think, you know, I feel like the time is past of talking. Let's see action. There's a model. Let's do it. Let's be brave. But it all comes down to money, and that's where it falls down. So, and legislation and political will. And I think as long as we live in a political climate which is based on a political party thing of 4 years, 5 years rotation, nobody is brave enough to make a decision now that's maybe not going to affect your party and make your party look good in 20 years' time. So nobody does the really hard work and hard decisions. And I think, again, as a community, we should demand better. We should be saying that there's some things that shouldn't be party political. They are about our planet and they are about our community, and there's no negotiation. Probably I'm not popular in Scottish Parliament very much. But, you know, these are things that are not rocket science. These are things that are within our power to do. They're not difficult, but when we have no political will and we have no money to do it, people make decisions. I always sort of say, if we make things simple for people, they will do the right thing. If we start to create difficulty, even though you have the will to do good, you're going to be driven by the simple thing or the cheap thing to do, and that's where we're at the moment. So I think I'm not even answering your question now. I don't know where I'm going, but yes, we could do more. We want to do more, but we need that political bite to help us as well.
Hello, thanks. That was really interesting. I was just going to ask roughly what proportion is your business, the business side of things, and what is personal kind of reuse, and is the personal side of the business a self-sustain? Is it a sustainable business model? Would that work without the business side of things?
Yeah. So we have hit we're in this sort of situation where our turnover is such that we are not eligible for some funds, etc. So our turnover has grown year on year. That does not mean to say that profit has grown year on year. So that's the other issue. With regards to our funding model is a sort of mixture. So we have our income generation, which is the larger part of our organisation in its total. I've talked about some of the different income generation streams. So that's the larger part of our organisation. But it's propped up a little bit with funding, so that is still part of that model. What we're trying to do, what I'm hoping to do, is to sort of move away from our reliance on funding to increase our income generation more, so that the funding element starts to drift away, because we can see that that is a really dangerous model to be relying on funding in any shape or form, because it's not going to get better over the next couple of years. So I'm trying to hopefully get the time to pivot to reduce the funding. So funding is still there. It's a smaller part of our model, but it is still there. And then general donations is, cash donations from public is part of that. So, our income generation is the larger part. It's the bit that I need to grow to be sustainable and free of the shackles of funding. So that's where I'm trying to get to. But you need time to pivot your business model to do that. You're not going to just do that overnight. And although I see the funding landscape changing, I need time to pivot to accommodate that. And that is the issue that the whole third sector is having. Are we going to have enough time to pivot before we fall through the cracks? So income generation is really important for me, and we're always thinking at the Remakery, how can we do more? How can we think of things? So we do sewing machine rental, for instance. So again, it's about trying to reduce consumption, but it brings in a little bit of money. So that was an idea that we had, and it's working really, really well. We want to grow that. As I said, parts is an area that we're now looking at. How can we create that? So we're always trying to think of where can we bring in that extra income. and be less reliant on funding. Businesses are a huge part of that. We do talks and tours, and so we charge for that. I charge for consultancy. So anything that I think could have a pound sign to it, I'm going after it, is where we're going. I hope that answers your question. I'm not sure if it does.
Hello, I'm really curious as to the makeup of incoming goods into the Remakery in terms of what percentage of goods are, go into that refurbishment path, and in comparison to that, what percentage is to be recycled. And kind of leading on to that, or leading on from that, I'm interested in that recycling aspect of the business, whether that's self-supporting and it's an income generation stream to the Remakery, or whether it's just a cost of, it's kind of part of that, model and taking responsibility for the items that can't be repaired.
Yeah, so both, it's both that. So the recycling, and I hate using that word. We don't use that word a lot at the Remakery. We use repair and reuse, and we're sort of recycling. But recycling, ethical recycling, is inevitably part of that, especially the e-waste side of things, So there is money to be made out of waste. One person's waste is another person's treasure. And so we have finessed that to a huge degree. So the only thing that we put to landfill is the plastic casing that is around your computers. And that's not just an issue for us, that's an issue worldwide. And I've got no appetite. It's because of the plastic, it's a certain type of plastic that's very difficult to manipulate and to create something new. And I know that there's some companies that make coasters out of it. I've got no appetite to make more tat that's going to go into landfill. If I'm going to do something, I want it to be really meaningful. So that's the only thing that goes to landfill. Everything else, we have got an income stream for that waste. So your cables, people say, why do you want cables? Why do you want cables? Because there's metal in that cable, and there's cost. There's money to be made from metal. So we have a metal outlet for our cables. We have the money income from the waste of motherboards from the Royal Mint. So there's money to be made from the gold. There's money to be made from, what else was there? It goes, Harry, our e-waste operative, would tell you, we sell some of the batteries back, etc. So there are some, there is, where we see a pound sign in that waste, we are going for it. But equally, you were saying, is there a cost? There is still a cost. So some of our battery disposal still costs us money to get rid of that. So we try to keep the cost of waste down. And that, again, the tech boxes has been very important for ASJAR to try and get the messaging right. I know you were saying it says this or whatever, but we've tried different iterations, because if somebody puts something that's wrong in that box, that costs us money, because that is something that we wouldn't be used. So we're getting things like vapes being put into the boxes and things. Well, that ends up costing us money because it's batteries, and then we have to pay to get rid of those batteries. So that's why we try, ASJAR, you try very hard to get the messaging right, because people, and often we get people leaving things at the door of the Remakery thinking they're doing really great, dumping stuff at the door because they think we're giving that to a charity. And this is a huge issue for charities, that sometimes the things that people donate because they think they're doing really good actually end up costing that charity a huge amount of money, because it's waste and they have to get rid of it, and they're duty bound to do it in the right way. So we have to think of that. So we really, to answer your question, we really try to utilise our all components of the Remakery. We try to find a waste stream that brings in income, and try to minimise the waste stream that costs us expenditure. And it's a fine line. But every penny is a prisoner, as Barbara would say. That's her mantra. And so we try to finesse that. But we utilise everything that we can. And so even the things that can't be refurbished, they're not waste, they just become part of that waste stream that hopefully will income generate, not through people buying a refurbished piece of tech, but through companies then buying our metals, and then we bring that income in. And percentage-wise, I'm really sorry, if Harry was sitting here, he would be able to give you the percentages of all of those things that I've just said. I don't have them in my head, but
I do
have
though.
them.
Yes.
Well, there you go. You see, this is why I love my team.
So in 2024, we diverted 47 tons of e-waste from landfill. out of which we successfully repaired 77% of it. And then the rest was ethically recycled, but barring the plastics, because that's the biggest problem. And like Elaine mentioned, we do get a lot of stuff in our tech donation boxes, which we don't necessarily take. And like Elaine said, it does cost us money. But it sparks a bigger conversation, which is that people, in their minds, they are trying to do the right thing, which we have to applaud. But the thing is, there are not a lot of places where people can go and donate their items, let alone for repair and reuse, even for recycling, which is the last thing that they should be doing. So although, yes, it is a cost for us, but it just sparks a different conversation as to the problems with the framework, that people don't have, the means to do good. They want to do good. If they are leaving stuff out of charity shops, it's because they want to get rid of stuff in the right way, and they think in their minds they are doing the right thing. But it's just because we don't have the framework to deal with it, and that is the problem. That is the cause, and that's the root of the problem that we are dealing with. Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you how much gold you in weight or value, but also, I didn't bring my 25-year-old mobile phone along tonight. I find it quite difficult to part with it because
it's a good
it's actually really natty, and it has a flip and a thing that comes out. But do you get any antiques? And do you sort of filter out those things that are of antique value, donate them to museums, or sell them for very high prices, maybe?
That's a really good question. I'll let Asrar answer about the gold question. But absolutely. When we were in Ocean Terminal, we had a Retrotech wall, and we're about to try and hopefully bring that back into New Kirkgate. And that was just basically a wall of that Retrotech, and the stuff was probably 25 to 30 years old and older. But do you know what? They were all still working. And on that wall, you could hear beeps and lovely Retrotech sounds and things. It was just so nostalgic. But what we used that Retrotech wall for, so yes, we do get a lot of gifts of that, was to show how quickly our tech is evolving. Because it's, there could be 3 or 4 iterations of a phone, etc., within 2 years period. And when you look at that stuff and it's still working and it's still doing something amazing, and the resources that have gone into it, what that did was spark that behavioural change, because people would go, oh my God, I had that. Oh my God, I had that. But it's now museum piece, so the things that we all used and loved, it's changed and evolved so quickly. And what we were trying to show in that is, if we keep doing it at that pace, this is not good for the planet. And yes, there is value in that Retrotech, and we actually tried, was it last year or this year? I can't remember now. This year. We actually tried to have a Retrotech fundraiser to try and sell off some of that tech, but it proved to be hugely complicated, and it was one of these sort of failures. But again, you learn more from, on your entrepreneurial journey, you learn more from failing than you do from succeeding. So we'll think of a different way to do that. But yes, the Retrotech is amazing. And we had one piece, was it the Herald came in and did a piece on us? Yeah, the Herald came in and did a piece on us, and we were also on STV News with it. Yeah. And they were just blown away because it was all the beeps and noises and things like that. And one of the pieces of Retrotech came to us because somebody had seen it sitting at the side of a skip. And I can't remember what device that was.
It was an Amstrad, I think.
Yeah. And it was brilliant. It looked so cute and lovely, and it was just brilliant. And we got it, so it was brought in because it was at the side of a skip, and our technician put it on, and it came to life. And just think, oh my God, again, it's people not understanding the value of that tech. And that's a valuable piece of kit as well, so they didn't actually understand the intrinsic value of it. So yes, a retro tech wall, we're looking forward to bringing that back. We just need a little bit of funding to get finals and things. But that sparked a huge amount of thing, and we've got loads of it. And you would be amazed the amount of stuff that comes from businesses that's retro tech, and also from our tech box, we get some absolute crackers.
Game Boys.
Yeah, oh,
like
it's amazing.
that, yeah.
With the game still inside it and everything. It's so exciting, so exciting. Yep. One more question. No, we're done. Oh.
I've got an old pair of earphones where the battery's duff and I think the cable is broken, but no one sells wired earphones anymore. They've all gone wireless. So is that the sort of thing that could be repaired at a repair workshop? Potentially. So, potentially it needs a new tiny wee battery, and possibly it needs the cable replaced at some point. Is that the sort of thing you can help with?
So usually we don't deal with refurbishment of wired earphones. So on our repair cafes, we do help you with if there's something wrong with your laptops, with your gaming consoles, with your computers, with your MacBooks. But wired earphones is not something that we usually deal with. But if you want, you can bring it along on a Friday. And if one of our hardware repair technicians can do something about it, we would be happy to help. But that's not usually something.
What's your thought, Nathan? Because you sit at our repair cafes sometimes.
Did you say that the headphones are both wireless and wired?
No, they are wired.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the 10-year-old Bose noise cancelling, the tiny battery, and the lifespan is down to about 15 minutes. At some point between 2021 and 2023, one of the earphones stopped working to the wire crack.
Yep. So you'd have to look on eBay or on the internet to see if you can find that specific replacement battery for the headphones. You'd also have to find the instructions on how to dismantle them so that they don't break during the disassembly, and the picture of the solder contact points for the cable as well. Because the thing is, even if you find the battery and you replace the battery, if the points of solder for the cable are just very badly placed, you won't be able to make a clean connection and seal it up properly, professionally, basically.
Okay. That's.
Oh, thank you very much for that. I just want to say a big thank you to Elaine and their Remakery team. That was fascinating. I wish I could talk to you, hear you talk for hours, to be honest. And I've had a wander around the shop, and yes, I've spotted the Game Boys and all that, and it's amazing.
Well, Rob can do the tour. He's been there that often. He's actually taken over the tour of the Remakery, so.
I'll get paid in Game Boys.
Well.
And of course, thank you to all of you. Without you attending, we would be sitting here talking to an empty room, so that wouldn't be much fun. So yeah, it's without your support, engagement, and enthusiasm, these events wouldn't be what they are. We should have a QR code, hopefully.
Next screen.
There we go, coming up on the screen now. If you could scan that and give us a bit of feedback on the event. If there's anything you want to change, anything improved, anything you want to just say at all, we'd love to hear from you. And it's through this feedback that we can actually shape future events, so we can make them engaging, relevant, and we can actually talk about the topics that you want to talk about. We do have more events coming up for the EICC Live. If you look on our What's On page, you'll be able to see what's coming up. You can also subscribe to the EICC newsletter, and that'll give you a notification when the next event is coming up. In fact, we're already working on next year, so if you have any speakers or topics you would like to hear from, let us know, and I'll see what I can do. But yeah, thank you very much to Elaine and the Remakery team. Thank you very much to everyone, and we hope to see you all again soon.
Nathan, thank you very much. Sorry, I'm